Beautiful morning here, just driving towards Deer Lake now. Cloudy day, but the blooming on the birch trees here is just beautiful, and look forward to a very nice drive this morning. Still on our way to Deer Lake. Left Grand Falls, Windsor at about 7 a.m. Been driving now for about an hour and 15 minutes, and the weather has somewhat changed. The wind has started to blow, and we're getting a little bit of precipitation, as you can see by the wipers. But we're still traveling west. We'll stop in Deer Lake and then head up the coast. But first bit of heavy rain I guess we've seen since we made the trip from Labrador to the island. Just coming into Deer Lake now, a couple more kilometers up the road. We'll gas up, probably get a coffee at the local Tim Hortons, and then we'll head up the Viking Trail towards St. Barb. Ferry we're supposed to get is at 3:30 today. So the road is wet here, but a bit brighter than earlier this morning. Just here gassing up at the Irving in Deer Lake. Just put $40 of fuel in my vehicle. Price of gas here is $2.18.9. Price of diesel is $2.24.9. A little bit windy this morning, but overall should be a good morning to drive up the Viking Trail. We're just heading up the Viking Trail now after gassing up in Deer Lake at the Irving. So we got about, I guess, a 3-hour drive, depending on road conditions and all that. But that's about what it was when we came down. Conditions are very similar to when we drove down, so don't see any major change. Viking Trail, St. Anthony, 413 kilometers. We're not going that far, but that'll give an idea of how far we have to go. So 292 kilometers to the South Labrador Ferry. That's our destination this morning. It's now approximately 9:15 a.m. I guess you'd call it a gray foggy day as we drive up through Norris Point and Viking Trail for Route 430. Scenery is beautiful, although we can't see a lot in the surrounding mountains of Broadsmore and the other ones here as we make our way to St. Barb. You can see the clouds hanging over the mountains, so a gray foggy day is not a stretch of the imagination here today. Just no fog on the road as such yet. A little bit when we get up to higher elevations on top of the hills or the mountains, but overall a very picturesque morning drive, even though at times we get a fair bit of rain falling. danger here as we go down the hill. The view doesn't need words to describe it. A little bit foggy here as we are pretty well driving right along the seashore, so you can see that difficult to see out over the water here. Nice swell on when I look out to the left here. You can see that the fog is obstructing the view as there's a travel trailer in front of us. That is probably hard to pick out on the video. But gray, foggy day, totally different than when we traveled down here just 2 days ago. Coming into the community of Sally's Cove now, and you can see there's what I would call a little bit of sea on. Some of my fisher friends probably would look at that as a good day for drying clothes. But anyway, so we're here in Sally's Cove now. Just stopped here at the Arches Provincial Park on our way to St. Barb. First time we stopped here. Very foggy day today, I guess. So you can hear the wind. Some other people here. Rock formation has been here a while. The Arches. This is the fourth moose we've seen this trip. I've never seen so many moose before. And he's just wondering who we are and what we're doing. Yeah. Beautiful animal, beautiful animal. Coming up to the last part of our trip now on the Great Northern Peninsula before we get to St. Barb. You can see out here on the left, there's a couple of fishermen out there tending their pots. One in a white boat and one in, I guess, bluish, purplish boat. Making their way probably back to shore. I might find it rough, but they probably don't find it rough at all. Two more fishermen out here honing their craft. Pulling in their pots. There's so much to see in Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, just the scenery is enough. As you travel the Great Northern Peninsula, as well as the Big Land, where we'll be in a few hours. Heading on the boat now. Return trip to Charlottetown. It's 5 after 3 now on Monday. And they've got us parked, so we're going to head upstairs now. We're on our way back to the Big Land. It's 3:30 p.m. right now. Settled in for about an hour and a half to 2 hours trip, hopefully. Leaving the boat now. Only vehicles on the upper deck coming across now. When we went across or came over, they loaded the bottom deck where we were, as well as this deck where mainly bigger vehicles were. Heading off now. It took us about 2 hours and 10 minutes to cross. A little bit faster going the other way, but it's a beautiful day on this side now. The sun is shining. We make our way off the boat. We're the third last vehicle to get off the boat. Heading into Lanceclair now. Just came off the boat. Beautiful drive thus far. And weather looks to be very pleasant as we start this last part of our drive. 230 kilometers to home. I guess 230 to Port Hope Simpson, and then about another 40 to Charlottetown. I'm going to get a coffee up here and just move on. We're on the last part of our May 2-4 weekend now. Just heading back to Port Hope Simpson, just up the road here, and then on to Charlottetown. We've been on the road now about almost 10 hours. 9 hours and 50 minutes according to the timer. But it's been a good number of days being able to see our grandchildren and our daughter and her husband and spend some time with family in central Newfoundland. So I'm gonna get home, get a cup of tea, and get ready to go to work tomorrow. We're approaching the community of Port Hope Simpson now. You can see the bridge in the distance. And I'll be back here in less than 11 hours as I have to go to work tomorrow morning. So just gonna get home and get some rest and get up and go to work in the morning. Just passing through Port Hope Simpson. Just coming up to the Charlottetown access road now, and we have been on the road, I guess, or traveling a little over 14 hours now, and a total of, once we get down over the gravel road now, that's the 29 kilometers of the Charlottetown access road. It will be a little under 850 kilometers from Grand Falls, Windsor, which was our former home, to now our home here in Charlottetown, Labrador. So with the ferry ride and everything, it takes about 14 to 15 hours by the time you do some stops and that for gas and wildlife and pictures and food, but a very enjoyable weekend for the 24th of May. We had figured that it would take us between 12 and 14 hours to make the trip one way, and our estimate was pretty good. And I would encourage anybody to do a road trip because it is very enjoyable. And so now we'll go down the last 29 kilometers, get some rest, and then I'll go back to work tomorrow.